going to learn about monochromatic, and we are going to review value to make some pop art inspired ice cream cones.
Okay, so make sure you're sitting in your seats, Mona Lisa, so we can listen to the video. Ooh.
That means no talking in the back of the classroom while we're watching the video.
And here's Toothless being toothless. I didn't make him do that. Hello, my artists. Today we are going to be talking about monochromatic and value. We have gone over value before, but we are going to use this value to create monochromatic. Mono meaning one, chromatic meaning color. So we are going to be mixing these two colors together to be creating about 4 different types of purple, going from darkest to light. So how I'm going to mix my paints, I'm going to take a little bit of white, a little bit of purple, and find that middle ground purple. So that's what happens when I mix those two colors together. You don't want to go too crazy when mixing your colors. You want to just take a little bit at a time. All right, awesome. Then I'm going to take a darker purple. So there's a darker color I could use. And then I'm going to go ahead and mix into my white for that lighter purple. That's probably one of the lightest, maybe a little bit lighter. So I kind of have an idea of the different types of purples I'm going to make. All right, now I'm grabbing my big piece of paper, my long piece of paper. I'm going to hold it vertical. Starting with my darkest color, I'm going to start at the top. I'm going to try and fill my whole paper, but remember we're going to be creating ice cream scoops. So we're not going to end up using all this paper. You might want to use it more for your collage, maybe to create some drops of ice cream, but we'll get there when we get to it. So now I'm starting with my darkest purple. See how I'm not really going all the way to the edge because I really don't have to, but I'm going to go as far as I need to. All right. Then I can go in with a lighter, adding my white, not straying away too much from my dark purple, just adding a little bit of white, and I'm going to blend it in. Make sure that you're blending it in because you want to make sure that you see that gradient gradually getting lighter. So there's around probably my second scoop color, and I got to keep adding more white to get lighter and mixing it with my purple. All right, and I'm going to keep doing that until I keep going all the way down and getting lighter and lighter. Now I want to make sure I cover a lot of space because I'm making 4 scoops. Now if you can make more than that, that's awesome according to the size of the scoop that you create. But I'm going to shoot for 4. All right, I'm going to speed it up a little bit here. You guys are going to get your materials and we are going to get started. And remember, when we are done, it goes on the drying rack. Make sure your name's on it or somebody else might claim it as their own. All right, let's get started. My gradient going from darkest to lightest. I'm just filling it up the top a little bit just to make it a little even. So here is our monochromatic value scale. Going from darkest to lightest, I will have 4 spaces to make my ice cream scoops. All right, so here's our monochromatic value scale that we have here. Now if we look at the purple, it is our darkest color, and this light lavender is our lightest color. Now this lavender is a tint of this purple because we added white to it, which makes it a tint. Now, if I added black to some of this purple, it would be a shade, making it darker in the monochromatic scale. But we're not going to add any black. We want it to look nice and beautiful and pop off the page. So we don't want to add any black. We want to make it look like that awesome ombre effect from light to dark, which is called monochromatic. Mono meaning one, chromatic meaning color. So one color going from dark to light in our value scale. All right, now I'm on the step of making my ice cream scoop. I'm going to use the paper I have underneath mine, but you might have a separate piece of paper. And I want you to use all that space because you don't want to make your scoops too small and you don't want to make them too big. So I'm kind of going to decide where I really want my scoops and how big I think it should be. I'm just going to guesstimate. I'm going to start with a half circle. Okay. Kind of like the letter C. Then I'm going to make some curvy lines underneath, making it look like it's dripping. And if you want to make it look like it's dripping even more, you are the artist. You create what you want. And this is chalk, so I can erase this easily. All right, I'm going to speed this up here. I am going to cut out my scoop and decide where I want it to go, and then I'm going to trace it. So now I want everybody to collect their supplies. If you have it already, then we're ready to get started. Here are my ice cream scoops that I cut out, and I ordered them from lightest to darkest. Now you can do it the opposite way too and go from lighter to darker. That is your choice. It is your art. You make the choice. And if you notice, I put it on a yellow background. That yellow background is our complementary color. The color across from each other on the color wheel. So now I have to decide where I'm going to glue them down, and then I also have to make the cone for the bottom. Now I can either mix my two colors, my complementary colors, to create brown. We already know that. Or I can just make it easy on myself and cut out a brown paper. But that is my decision whether we're going to make it hard or easy on ourselves according to time. So I'm going to glue these down. I'm going to leave some space for the bottom for my cone. And I'm going to decide where to glue that down. Now we want to make sure that you're gluing them down overlapping. Overlap means one thing goes on top of the other. You don't want to make it look off because it's going to make it look like your ice cream cone flew all over the place, and that doesn't look appetizing. All right. Now I am going to be mixing my complementary colors to create brown. Now remember, complementary colors are the colors opposite each other on the color wheel. I just got so lucky as to use my favorite colors to make brown. Makes the best kind of brown we know this. We just did a lesson on this. So, mixing them together, Looks like I have to add a little bit more purple to make it darker. And I'm going to fill my page that I have here with this brown. All right, gonna speed it up here while I'm doing this. We're going to get our materials and get started. I'm also going to show you how to be creating a cone using a brown paper. All right, here we go. All right, now I'm going to be creating a patterned background for my artwork. So I'm going to decide what colors I want to use. I'm going to keep with the purple, and I'm going to create some fun patterns. You want to create a fun pattern because this is pop art. Pop art is meant to be fun. So I'm creating some beautiful little hearts here for my background. You can create whatever shapes or lines you would like to use. Don't overdo it, but make it kind of look like fun. And I love my little purple hearts. I can also add some lines, maybe add different colors in there. That's your decision now. I have 2 pieces of paper. Yours is going to be one really long piece of paper. I just don't have the long paper at home right now to show you. All right, let's forward this up a little bit and get our materials to get started. All right, so now I have my painted paper and my painted scoops. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out my triangle cone, and then I'm going to glue it down on the paper. Now this is the first thing you're gonna wanna glue down on the paper, and then we will move on to our scoops. So remembering that you can do your dot dot nut nut. Remember, we are 4th grade and we still follow the rules of the art room. So here are my overlapped scoops going from lightest to darkest. You could go darkest to lightest. That's your choice, but I like the way it came out when I painted it. So again, dot dot nut nut. I don't want to see a crazy amount of glue. Your paper will look warped if you end up putting too much glue, and you don't want that. So go ahead and overlapping, making sure one goes on top of the other, but you want to see the rest of it. And go ahead and glue those little pieces on there. All right, I cannot wait to see what this is going to look like when it is finished. All right, and here's our finished product here. Some of my pieces are sticking up, but I like the way that looks. It makes it look like they're popping off the page. We can also add some vertical lines and horizontal lines for our cone. You don't have to do that though. It's your project, your choice. All right, I enjoyed this lesson. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did.